You are listening to ToRAISE Questions Doula podcast. This is Melanie Headley. I'm here with Thérèse Hakoun, the amazing Thérèse Hakoun, which she loves me to say. And Thérèse is the executive director of toLabor, which is an international doula training and certifying organization. Hi, Thérèse.
Hey, Melanie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You look great.
Well, thanks. I have my up days, my down days, my in-between days, just trying to pace myself through this experience that's life and and my roller coaster that I'm on. But I would say overall, doing well. I'm in a different place right now with certain things, with work and stuff. So that's a little bit different for me. But then I think about summer, and I remember how when my kids were little, I worked, but it was in a more laid back way and what life was like. And I thought, okay, so I'm kind of doing that right now. And I work with lots of different practitioners and healers in this journey. And one of them has really been trying to help me understand that rest is a way of life. And it's kind of becoming my affirmation right now. Because we're not told that. We're told move, 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 move. And I remember one time many years ago when I was in counseling, I said to my therapist, really, I'm just really a lazy person. I just really want to be sitting on a beach reading a book. And he looked at me and he said, Thérèse, that's called a vacation. That's not being lazy. And I thought, we don't learn those lessons sometimes until we're forced to learn those lessons. So I'm trying to learn to appreciate rest. So I will pass that on to everybody else, that I think it's so important, even if it doesn't look like the rest that we would envision, that we would like to envision. Rest is just pausing and saying, I'm okay. This is okay, and I don't have to rush. I don't have to rush. I can take a moment and just breathe. And I'm saying it for myself right now.
I'm taking it in.
Yeah.
But I think that is a really powerful message that is going to move toward what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. So we're excited. We had Joy Outland Brock on our last podcast, and we felt that it was way important and great information.
And we've loved your emails. Keep them coming.
Yes.
And gotten some good questions out of those.
And we would like to, we decided that we just were going to be rushing. So we decided to do a part 2 and invited Joy back to come speak with us and follow up with the rest of this discussion. So we're going to have Joy join us in just a few minutes.
I can't wait.
Yeah. And so again, I'm going to just say latchmama.com, support, give them, follow them on Facebook, regardless of whether you want to do breastfeeding, clothing or not. Just follow, see what they're doing, what they're talking about.
Interesting discussions on there.
There are, and they're always looking for people who have experience also, or having had experiences that they can share with other people. It's really a nice support network. And be nice. I think that's the message also that's really clear to me from Latch Mama. It's not that you can't have your opinions. It's be nice about your opinions. Don't beat other people up, especially, this goes for 100% of people, but mamas don't need people to be unkind to them. It is such a tough job. And to be kind does not take much effort. It takes, and for some people, more effort than being angry and volatile, but it's really doesn't do anything, that energy. The other one can just make somebody feel like, okay, I disagree with you, but thank you for voicing it in this way, or thank you for saying that. That makes me feel so much better because you see what I'm talking about. So contribute to that and other places, but be nice.
Be nice.
So simple. Okay, so we'll be right back.
here we are. Joy, thank you so much for coming back to talk with us.
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So let's just move forward. We left off at the last episode talking about the different, what would you call it? Categories? I don't know what the right word.
Just all the different disorders that compromise perinatal and postpartum mood and anxiety disorders.
Right. And so, and we went off into certain other areas, but then kind of reeled it in so that we could talk again. So let's move forward.
Okay. Let's talk about supporting these women.
Yes.
In these things.
Right.
So I love that you guys were talking about rest. I see rest as like vital spiritual practice, but it reminded me that when I was at the PSI conference earlier last month, one of the quotes that stuck with me was one of the presenters said, there are seasons of our life. There are seasons of giving and there are seasons of receiving. And our work is to help new mothers understand that they are in a season of receiving.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, for lack of a better, it gives me chills because having, it's so important. Yeah. It's so important.
And convincing women of that is the work,
but
right?
You're right. But it's so interesting because it's actually a paradox because they are so much in the giving that they have to accept the receiving.
Yeah. I mean, never has so much been demanded of them.
Yeah, that's it.
So they have to let others in
and
receive.
I know.
That it's their work is they're on the couch.
Yeah.
Nursing a baby if they're nursing.
I think I quoted this, that I saw somebody had posted, somebody I knew who had a baby, and she said something like, did a lot of work today, moved from my bed down to the couch in the living room. And I just loved it because it was, with that statement, she made it really clear what her intention was for everyone to hear from her. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Do not criticize that I am still moving through this period of time. That was a lot of work for me today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So support.
I mean, just reframing the whole idea of what this time is for women, their worth in this time, because women are going through a huge shift. Like I always tell clients that when as a doula, I would tell clients that the first year, it sounds kind of dark, but it's like the mourning year because you're mourning the loss of who you were for who you are now. So there's the loss of your identity, right? Just like Joy, who was all these things, who could just wake up at 10 in the morning and go to brunch. Right? I drive through town now and I'm like, who are those assholes that are just out? like it's no big deal in the middle of the day.
Don't they know?
Yeah, they're like lined up to see a movie and I'm like, that must be nice. So sorry.
Spoken like a true therapist.
But just talking through, giving women space to talk through these losses. And I think this is part of the prevention work. All right. The prevention is starting to talk about it in pregnancy.
Yes.
Right. That afterwards, there's going to be loss of freedom. You're not just going to have your schedule anymore. This baby is going to dictate so much of your life. You're going to lose some of your body autonomy if you're choosing to nurse because they're going to be touching your boobs all day long and your boobs are going to be leaking and you're going to be like, those hormones make you smell and you're going to like lose some of your like hygiene habits, right? Because it's hard to find time to shower.
Yes. I look at photos of myself. I think I said this on a podcast of when I had little ones and I had really long hair and I looked at one and I thought, God, your hair is so greasy. And I thought it must have been greasy all the time because who had time to get in a shower when you had all these kids or even just one baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
So normalizing that this stuff is how it is, that it's not when they've dragged themselves to the grocery store and they're in line to buy food and there's a People magazine beside them with a woman in it wearing a bikini who's 8 weeks postpartum, how she got her body back, right?
Yeah.
So like there's the loss of just what your body used to look like. I mean, yesterday in a therapy session, we were talking about the loss of our fashion because if you are breastfeeding,
you change.
A lot of it changes based on being able to have access to your boobs.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You know, like
You can't wear, unless you buy a Latch Mama dress,
yes.
you can't wear a dress.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to pull it up.
You'd have to get naked to nurse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so, I just remember all those years of not having been able to wear a dress. It had to be a shirt that I could pull up.
I can remember going on like the first date night and thinking, I'm going to wear a dress and it's going to be like a round neck. Like, cannot get a boob out.
Yeah, can't pull it
all.
down.
Right. Can't. And then, of course, I've got these like huge, big swollen breasts that I have to hand express in the bathroom during date night. I'm like naked at the counter. Yeah.
Yes. So.
And their relationship changes, their family,
yes.
their friends, all of those
Yeah.
aspects. Yeah, this is something I really stress in our workshops. These are the things you've got, how their relationship with their partner is going to change. If they have other children, how their relationship with those children are going to change. I mean, the whole everything.
Yeah. And letting them know that it's okay to mourn those things.
Right.
And that it's okay to not just be 100% fulfilled by where they are right now. Like women get this pressure to not just be doing it, but to be loving every moment of it.
Well, yeah, I've expressed this, that nothing in my life, absolutely, hands down, has been more of a gift and a joy in my life than having be blessed to be a mother. I mean, for me, that's absolute. But there have been so many days, including now that even I still have older children, where I would rather be anything but a mother.
Yeah.
And I will always have been honest about that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from my love of those people that I've had in my life.
It's just, I think as birth workers, we're called to be truth tellers. I mean, as humans, we're called to be truth tellers.
That's what the toLabor thing is. You are a truth speaker.
Yeah, we tell the truth about what it's like. We tell the truth about our struggles, right? And that it's not always pretty or easy, or that sometimes we need help. Right. So,
Joy, before you go, and this is really, I don't like to interrupt you in this moment, but one of the things we didn't talk about last time, and I don't want to go off on a big tangent and you can just reel it in, but the hormonal shifts that people are going through in, the pregnancy postpartum year, let alone the pregnancy, but in that whole, that whole year after the pregnancy. How is that impacting all of these things as well? I mean, did you all discuss that? Do you discuss all of that?
I mean, it's compounding everything.
Yeah.
Aside from all the other stressors that women and their partners are going through while they're pregnant, finding access to treatment, being able to afford treatment.
Right.
I don't know what it is about pregnancy that makes people decide to move or remodel their house.
Isn't that crazy?
But, like they're doing this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're losing people. You're suffering a loss during that time. So you already have these other stressors.
Right.
And then you have that on top of it.
Yeah,
And
the
so
hormones.
The hormones are just all up and down. And we see that what I want women to understand, aside from these risk factors, the hormones are affecting you and your brain chemistry is changing during these times, so that getting help for this is not you were so weak, but it's like your brain is different right now.
Yeah.
The neurotransmitters in your brain are not firing the way they used to.
And that starts in the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't come back until a period of time after you give birth. I mean, your brain just has a different chemistry, like you said, that's happening.
Yeah. And what we see over time is that if you're constantly still under the stress, because being depressed, being anxious is stressful. And so you have that cortisol pumping through your body so much more that it is going to lead to ongoing changes in your brain unless you take steps against that.
Right, because we have elasticity of the brain for both the positive and the long-term potential negative for our well-being.
So one thing that we didn't hit last time that I want to make sure I stress today is that we have all these disorders. They are all treatable. Every
really
single
important.
one of them is so treatable. And I always stress to women when they come into therapy, I like last time, we affirm their wisdom for coming in and seeking treatment. And then I tell them, you can get better. And I really believe you will get better.
That's so important.
Work,
hope.
Yeah. Like when you show up, you do this stuff. When you decide to take the medication, if medication is what's indicated, you are going to get better. It's going to take time, but how you feel right now is not your new forever normal.
Right. That's so important, that message.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we as doulas can be assuring them too, like as you get the help, like this will not be forever.
But the key factor in that is getting the help.
Getting the help.
Just expecting it to go away, if it's really one of these disorders, then it's not necessarily going to get better. You're not going to get through this in the way that you could get through this.
Yeah. When we see women that aren't getting treatment, like a year postpartum, 2-3 years, they're still having more symptoms than women that do.
And they may have another pregnancy in that period of time too that just compounds all of this as well.
Well, also, we are in a culture that is, independence is one of our main values, right?
And the pursuit of happiness.
And the pursuit of happiness and the pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah. So this idea that you're just supposed to suck it up is one of the most harmful things I think we do within the United States. And so I tell women, like, do you want to be like white knuckling this experience, like barely holding on, like you're making it? Or do you want to accept help?
Right.
Whether that's through therapy or through the medication piece. And can we talk about the medication?
Yes. But I just want to put in there again your message about that. What you just said is the culture, but it is exacerbated if you are female. Because, and I know that there are pressure on all genders. I get it. Yeah. But there is a different dynamic that women have put on themselves and that they put on other women as well. And it's just horrific to me. And we were talking a little earlier, you get heated about it, I get heated about it. It's it's got to stop. It does, and it's not to undermine anybody's ability to do. It's to empower someone to realize when they don't have to. It's like the other mantra that is being given to me in my life right now is just because I can doesn't mean I should. And that's like, I'm 58 years old, and to hear that is like a no-brainer, but it's really, really hard for me. It is because I have always had to be that person who did, even if I shouldn't have, I did, Yeah.
You're a hustler.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Total, and a survivor. And that's why I feel really comfortable speaking about this issue to people who are going through these struggles, because I think I get it, because even myself, there were times that I had no choice, and there are people who have no choice. You have to do. And that's kind of was my life. I had to do. I didn't have the kind of support, and the resources and the money for the extra things. So I got through it, but I don't recommend it. I don't, I don't, if there are other avenues, and even for myself, there were probably other avenues for me, but one, I didn't know them. And two, I wasn't on the receiving end. I wasn't open to the receiving because of that survivor dynamic also that I got myself caught into.
Well, I think it's really important to have that conversation with the women, and I think it's even as important that the partner hears this conversation.
Absolutely. That your job is not to be, I always say, you lose. I'm sorry. You will not win that. You should not engage in it, and you should not win. And my day was really hard in comparison to your day. What did you do all day? Oh, well, I'm raising a human being. I'm growing a human being outside my body. What did you do? Yeah. But go please forward with what you were saying.
Well, and I would say, Melanie, you talking about that, I know you guys have had episodes about what you discuss in prenatals.
Right.
And that is my whole second prenatal, is we retouch on prodromal labor, just to have it like fresh in their minds, and the whole rest of it for me is postpartum.
I think that's, because I want to see that.
I'm passionate about the prevention. Like people need to be prepared
Yes.
for this year to be healthy.
So medications.
So I feel like so many people that hire doulas, so many women that become doulas are very passionate about natural birth for really good reasons.
Right.
But that kind of then gets lumped into, I'm doing everything natural,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you will see on these Facebook message boards a woman mention having low mood.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's jumping in to say, well, I used essential oils
Mm-hmm.
and it really made my depression go away.
Mm-hmm.
And as a therapist, I see that and I just cringe because I'm just like, well, that's not evidence-based. It's maybe complementary, but I feel like I see this pressure in my practice for women to be able to recover from these illnesses without medication.
Okay.
And I really struggle with that
Mm-hmm.
because it's a brain issue. At that point, it's brain chemistry that's happening. And if you came into my office and you had diabetes, I wouldn't be just teaching you mindfulness practices to help get your insulin under control.
Okay.
I'd be saying, let's look at what medications are going to help this because this is your health,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we just need to destigmatize all of it. We need to destigmatize the getting help for
Right.
mental health
First
conditions.
and foremost.
That like, I had a client this is why I love being a therapist because they just teach me so much, right? I
Right.
just get so smart by getting to sit in front of people all day and hear their wisdom. So she was just like, I came in once, my friend said, well, you go get a physical every year to check up on your body. Why don't I go get a physical for my mind every year?
That's great.
Just to check in on how things are going. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, what a great analogy.
And so we just need to get help. But on the medication piece, there are these medications out there that will make things a lot better
Mm-hmm.
for women.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to be talking about it.
Right.
And I am never going to tell someone that they need to tell everyone else that they've been on antidepressants before or medication for their anxiety. But if you feel comfortable with it, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because
give
more
other people
often
permission.
in that room, half the other people are going to raise their head and say, oh, I did that too.
Right. Or I was afraid to do that.
Or,
I didn't
yeah.
do that. And either they, in hindsight, have a quote unquote regret, or they start pondering, would that have helped me?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's or maybe it's right at the moment where they think, oh, I will go get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I see is sometimes women finally break down around 9 months postpartum,
Mm-hmm.
10 months postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you almost always hear is, I wish I had taken this sooner. If I could have felt like this during those early months with my baby, how much more would I have enjoyed it?
Mm-hmm. So medication versus complementary
Mm-hmm.
modalities. To be clear, it's not that those complementary modalities can't be used.
No, of course they can be used.
And if they're really helping someone,
Yeah.
then wonderful. They're helping somebody. But what I heard you say is the person who contributes and says essential oils, not to pick on essential oils, but just using that as the example, because it could be, the placenta encapsulation, it can be the yoga class, it can be the meditation, it can be the acupuncture, the chiropractic, the energy work, all of the different things, going to church, whatever it might be. If that is that person saying that, it's kind of like a blanket, like, okay, that because it worked for me, it'll work for everyone.
Yeah.
We want to avoid those definitive statements and feel like there's not, and not allow it to be that those are the only options, those complementary
Mm-hmm.
modalities, that there is a time and a place for medication.
Yeah.
That's what they were designed for.
Yeah.
That they can be extremely helpful to somebody, and it doesn't mean always for a lot of people that they have to be on them forever.
Mm-mm.
It can get them past that place if they're in therapy
Yeah.
and getting other help to move forward. And then maybe they can get off that medication. Maybe they'll find getting off of it isn't a good option for them long term. Maybe this was an issue or something chemistry-wise changed for them. And this is something that they need. you as a licensed clinical social worker can't prescribe medication,
No.
correct?
No.
So,
Thankfully.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
so I know that many family practitioners, many obstetricians, I think certified nurse midwives can prescribe.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, the ultimate is the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, as a professional, where do you tend to send people for that medication?
This is another one of the hard ones about how the system is failing women, in that there is not a lot of knowledge amongst our providers that can write scripts about medications during the pregnancy and during the postpartum period.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people will tell women they're not going to write a script while they're pregnant because they don't want to risk the baby.
Right.
Right. And so now that mom maybe feels guilty for having asked for
Right.
she made herself vulnerable,
Right.
and she kind of got pushed back.
Now, would that be the obstetrician that they're asking?
Mhm.
Okay.
Or even maybe the psychiatrist.
Okay, even
just
yeah.
because what we know is that not enough providers are trained in perinatal mood and anxiety disorders.
Mhm.
So there is research about what medications are safe, or as safe as we can assume.
Mhm.
There's always going to be risk.
Mhm.
But, where they see that very little is affecting the baby, where babies come out with really good outcomes.
Mhm.
So there is research, but they don't know the research.
Okay.
And so they err on the side of caution.
And say no
and say
medication.
no medication.
Mhm.
And I see women all the time, once they're in the postpartum, well, I'm nursing, so I can't take
Right.
medication.
Right.
Or, especially if someone's coming in with an OCD
Right.
and anxiety, they're so anxious about what that medication would
I
do.
know.
So, that is half of the work sometimes in therapy, is let's talk through the anxiety over the medication.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, so many of your symptoms of anxiety about the medication would be gone if you started the medication.
I know.
It becomes
God.
this kind of this vicious circle.
So, but how do you overcome then the provider who doesn't feel comfortable
Well,
or knowledgeable enough?
Sometimes I ask for a release of information, and I call that provider
Uh-huh.
and say, would you like me to email you some articles?
Yeah.
Or, can I direct you to Thomas Hale, who has written extensively on medications?
And this is
for
something,
pregnant and
right,
postpartum women.
to put out there just immediately. A lot of people who listen know about Thomas Hale and will have that as a resource. But it is a really good resource, and
Yeah.
it's something that can be provided to the client that you have, so that they can also
Mhm.
see, okay, be reassured, maybe reduce some of that anxiety and
Yeah.
feel more comfortable moving forward. Because we
Yeah.
can't force somebody,
Nope.
but we want to make sure that they know they have this as an
Yeah.
option. And then I guess it's,
Well, and then this is still in the privilege of, we're talking about
Mhm.
women that have access to getting into mental health
Exactly.
treatment. To be
exactly,
seeing me, for us to even be having these conversations.
exactly.
Okay. So.
And will be respected enough to have a conversation if they can get into that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We're hopefully helping them kind of sort through. And I do that. I email articles to clients about, here's the research on these different medications. And I will find that I have seen, and I don't know what you guys have seen as doulas, but when a mom is experiencing some symptoms, I've normally seen that if she calls the provider she delivered with, they are very quick to offer a script for like a Zoloft
Mhm.
to help during that time. But it's not usually done with any follow-up.
Right.
And so it's like, here's a script, and the mom's left with lots of questions about
Right.
it. And, oftentimes it goes unfilled. But I am thankful that at least is being recognized, that we should provide this if women need it.
Right. And I
yeah.
guess so then in your community, you need to do some research. If you are a doula, if you're a mother, because we have lots of mamas listening to this, and parents listening to this, and nurses listening, and many other, modalities, know your resources in your
Yeah.
own community. Like, who are the providers who do work in perinatal mood disorders, like
Yeah.
who a psychiatrist who does understand this. And it's not, answer isn't always easy to find. Sometimes it's very simple. It's talking to another person who's gone through this, and where did you get your help that can help move people forward.
Well, if you are listening and you are a nurse, please get more education in this, because we need more people that can write scripts that are trained in perinatal mental health.
Right.
I mean, I know we talked in the last podcast about the struggle of like communication via the internet.
Right.
But getting women, especially that live in rural areas, access to quality psychiatric care is probably heading in the direction of telemedicine, because there's not going to probably be a psychiatrist in their area that is specifically trained in this.
Yes. And yes. But going back to, if you are not in the privileged, any thoughts, recommendations of what we do, what can be done to help those people who are going through this?
Empowering them as much as possible by spending time with them, letting them know that they matter. I think as many doulas as possible that can start mothering circles. Those are wonderful resources for moms. And maybe reaching out to a therapist in your community and asking them to start a separate one specifically for women with perinatal mood disorders.
Which is what we've done here in Richmond.
Yeah.
And it's excellent.
It's a good model. And there's every time I turn around, I feel like in Richmond there's new support circles. So we have a good thing going here. But they are still very centered around middle class.
Very much so.
White
you have
women.
to. We've had this as part of on the board of another organization, and our conversation is about reaching those who don't have transportation, or these meetings happen on at places where it's not a bus line, or there's no childcare provided. And so actually starting these groups in the community of the people who need these but can't get to them.
So maybe asking a pediatrician if they'd be willing to lend space.
Right.
Because oftentimes that is somewhere that's going to be on a bus line.
Right.
Because and I don't even have all the answers. I just know that we have to be doing more.
Well, and I think it's the support that you're spending time. I think it's walking somebody through. It's not it's going back to our definition of what a doula is. It's a walking stick, not a servant or a slave, which is the more common definition that I don't like. So we can help walk somebody with somebody, be their walking stick of, I'll help you find these resources. I will even go, if you need me to those first appointments to help you fill out the forms, to talk to the people, because that is the only way that a lot of people will actually end up with that kind of support. And that can be in the middle class, upper middle class as well. I mean, it's not just for those who have less than. People need that stick, that support, that staff to walk with them, to help them know where is this pathway.
Yeah. Well, I think as doulas, it really is about knowing the options. Like, we always encourage our clients to know the options. Well, when it comes to mental health, you need to know the options. And I don't just say like, oh, I listened to this podcast, and so I know that there's these different disorders and you can go to therapy for it.
Right.
You need to know, in your community, is there community mental health? So where we live, every different county has a mental health department that if you don't have health insurance, you can go there seeking mental health treatment.
Exactly.
Not every community, though, in America has that. So you need to know, what does that look like in Georgia or Arkansas or this or that, and then try to go through it yourself, as in just setting up an appointment, because that is very informative.
I shared this, I believe, as well, that when we did that maternal mortality task force thing, I was sitting with an obstetrician, and this whole discussion was happening, and she said, she taught residents, and she said, I'm going to assign this to the residents to have to negotiate how they can get in our system, if they do not have insurance.
Yeah.
Because she said that is the way they're going to be more empathetic towards what the plight is of those people that they're actually sitting in front of them now.
Yeah.
Like, what did it take them to get to this place?
And if you're a woman with postpartum depression and your doula has said, oh, here's the name of a woman.
Yeah.
And you've worked up the energy to actually call and she doesn't take your insurance.
Yeah.
Does that then like kick you out of looking for any more help? You know what I mean? So
Right.
like there are so many nuances to this that we need to know the options. So are there clinicians that don't take insurance?
Right.
You know, if you're referring everyone, she might be a wonderful therapist, but someone's not going to be able to afford $95 a session.
That's right. That's right.
So you need to know the community mental health. You need to know volunteer organizations that might help.
Other organizations, the other NGOs, or is that what it is? Yeah, or nonprofits, where that they offer sliding scale or free based on income resources. I mean, there are so many. I was just having this discussion with somebody yesterday who has no health insurance, who needs mental health care, and talking about their public health department in their county, and talking about the other agencies that are out there that they can contact and see, and that I was giving them names to help them have those resources.
Yeah.
And the other big thing is getting an appointment.
Yeah.
It's not 6 weeks from now when they're in the crisis, but if they say they're in crisis, then they're often thrown into, well, then you need to go to the emergency room, and that may not be the proper place for them to be either, because they're not in that crisis where they're going to die, but they're in crisis.
Yeah.
So what else, Joy?
I mean, in thinking about supporting the women as doulas, I think knowing the options, getting them connected, working with them heavy on preparing for the postpartum, and really, like Melanie said, working heavily with the partner.
Mm-hmm.
I find that when people are in that stage, they need clear-cut plans.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what I do as a therapist, and that I think is also still safe within the scope for doulas to do, is let us have a very clear-cut postpartum plan. Who am I going to reach out to call when I'm having a bad day?
Okay.
When I'm feeling overwhelmed? Who's going to take them a meal for us? Asking, coming back to that, getting them ready. This is the time you're going to be receiving. Let yourself receive.
In class, I talk about having an emergency contact list, and so 3 people on you all the time that you can call. Like, if you get, the story I tell is getting stuck in my car in the grocery store parking lot, thinking this is the day I'm going to take my 2 kids out for the first time grocery shopping. And we get there, and then the baby has to nurse, and so I nurse, and the toddler's, doing somersaults over the seats, and then the baby has a blowout, and I've got to change the diaper, and then baby has to nurse again, and the toddler's going nuts, and I'm now there for 45 minutes in the parking lot, and I'm losing my shit, and so I had to call someone and say, can you just walk to the grocery store with me? Like, having that emergency contact list of people who they know they're on it. So, I'm having a moment. I need some help. Can you come hold the baby while I can take a shower?
And what about, because I think this is important to bring up, I like Melanie's story. I like your suggestion, those people that you can reach out to. So many people nowadays reach out online to the Facebook groups, the support groups they're in. Yeah. Thoughts about that?
I think you need to be really careful. I feel really thankful in my own life as a mother. I mean, I've only been in this for about 3.5 years, but the groups I'm in, if it is a group that I see negativity and just people kind of judging and shaming and arguing, I leave the group.
Good for you.
Because you don't have, your heart is already so open as a mother. You're so vulnerable.
So vulnerable. You're an open vessel.
And while we're at it, just stop watching the news while you're postpartum. Just don't do it, ladies. And doulas encourage them not to watch the news.
Can I share something about your postpartum? What you did, what you watched? Is it okay?
Yeah.
So fine. Joy, when she was in her postpartum, she did not watch anything but the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
And that was a recommendation to her from her midwife. Just watch something that is so nebulous. You
Yeah.
know, it's just entertaining, keeps your mind occupied, but not going to stress you out in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I now actually have a whole order. I say at the very beginning, you can't even concentrate on that. So I strictly, and this once again, here's the privilege.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could get it on Netflix too. But I just did HGTV shows for a few days because you don't have to like pay attention.
Right.
And then I got into my Gilmore, and then I transitioned to Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
therapist recommended, folks.
No, I think that, but it's an important factor. And I think the reason I brought up about the online is I think this has been, and again, it's because I'm older, but I get the whole support there. But what happens is during pregnancy, people get into these groups online. And they've got this support going on, and they're discussing their pregnancies and their births coming up. And then the postpartum happens, and they're in the hole. They're down there, and they reach out to the person who's in California who might give them something nice to say, but they're not going to come sit next to them on the couch. They're not going to come to the parking lot. It's just a different dynamic. And you're typing away instead of verbally letting it out, which I think verbal is so important, whether it be on the telephone. So I'd rather somebody pick up the telephone than pick up the computer, because I can't cry on the computer. I can cry on the somebody can hear me cry on the telephone or sitting next to me. Yeah. And so I think the human connection is a big part of all of some of these issues that we're also struggling with, is the disconnection. Yeah.
Well, I have seen good things in Facebook groups where they're made up of people that meet together regularly.
Yes, those
where they see each other in person. Awesome. And then they have a closed private group.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we have, like in our community, a mothering circle that is grown very large over the last 7 years since it was started. But every month, people will come together, and then often they follow through afterwards, after the group, and go out together. That after it's in the evening, and they'll go to a restaurant together. But they also meet as individuals or in groups together. And that group has almost gotten too big to know everybody, because there's people who gave birth 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So not everybody knows each other. So, but even smaller than that, I think is what you're talking about too, is I see the benefit to that.
Well, and as a doula, encouraging the moms to question, what are they using the Facebook groups for?
Good question.
Are they looking for validation? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you are or you aren't going to find it. Are you looking for encouragement? Because you might just find judgment. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I think that those groups are very heavily used by women with undiagnosed, especially perinatal, postpartum, depression, and anxiety disorders. They're on there asking all the time, my kid has this, what do you think? My kid has that. But when I look at that as a therapist, I'm just thinking in the back of my head, I think they're doing a checking behavior, which is something we do with things that, like, we check in to try to seek the reassurance and assurance that everything's okay. Right. And that makes us feel better for a little while. Right. But in the long term, doesn't make us feel good continually. So you keep going back. I think that's part of the power of them. It's giving these women almost a way to sort of, quote unquote, treat themselves without treating themselves.
That's really interesting, Joy, because I see that all the time, and I hear it makes total sense to me what you're saying. I wouldn't think of that in that way. As I just see it as, they're needing to validate. They're unsure, and we all have uncertainty and can reach out to people. But I hear what you're saying, and that to you is a flag, like, but that's okay, but you need to come over here now and get some professional help that will help you sort out how to feel more empowered yourself. To know the answers as well. Yeah. And I think in the end, like, just as doulas, helping support women and couples to decide to fill out the circle and understand who they're going to take wisdom from. Yeah. All right. Because so it's part of that, and encouraging them to trust their intuition and their own wisdom, and to make a decision and be okay with it. Right? Because so much of what I see in women, they come into therapy and they've decided to do this, but that week they mention it to a friend, and the friend is like, oh, well, I heard this. And so now they're back in therapy questioning their whole choice. And so I'm trying to build them back up.
you made this choice, you looked at the pros, the cons, and here you are, and that's okay.
And I think, that is so important, so important, and something that is a life lesson, because that's parenting.
Yeah.
And I was just having this discussion with my partner before we came into podcast about some decisions I have to make about my own health right now. And I said, there's nobody who can make this decision for me. And everybody has an opinion about it, including my doctors have opinions about it. But in the end, I have to trust myself. And it's scary when you're in that situation to think, am I basing this in intuition or fear? And how will I know? But it's really having that support, though, around me and others that says, I do trust that you will make the right choice. And you are not to think of what other people think about your choice. We will support you in the choice you make regardless. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because we're not in that circumstance. Because that's always been my thing that I say to people in trainings. Do not say, this is what I would do. Do not say, this is what I did, because you don't know what you would do until you're in that circumstance. Even if you've already done it, it doesn't mean you would do the same thing the second go around or the 15th go around. We don't know. So we can make suggestions as far as options and choices, but let them make ultimately their own decision about things. Yeah. Without, it goes back to our whole message, suspend judgment, be kind, offer information, offer resources.
Absolutely.
Joy, can I ask you just real quickly, one resource that you could just off the top of your head say, this is an excellent place to go get some resources?
Off the top of my head?
Postpartum International?
They're great. There's a book called Life Will Never Be the Same.
Okay.
And it's something like the Real Mom's Postpartum Guide.
Okay.
And that, I would say now, that's what I'm going to be giving at baby showers, in addition to something off the registry, because you buy the stuff that's on the actual registry, right? Yeah. And as a doula, it's going to be one of my most recommended books for expectant.
And it was called
parents.
What again?
Life Will Never Be the Same.
Excellent. Okay. And what we will do is, as I said, we'll post resources. We'll get them from Joy. Give us some time. They'll be up on our website under the podcast tab, where you can check into some of the things that we talked about, but just re-listen to the podcast. And, we may invite you back again, Joy, to discuss more things, because I think this is an ongoing discussion.
Can I throw in one more?
Oh, absolutely.
That person doesn't have to do with postpartum specific, but it has to do with life. Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. Mm-hmm. So much of this stuff is about our worth, and if we believe we're good enough. And motherhood can become just another way that we're hustling to believe that we're good enough. I
think you're right, and I think that's an excellent resource. Yeah, because that's the core.
Yeah. Mothers are enough.
Yeah.
As humans, we're just enough.
Yes.
If we could accept that, I could retire and become a beekeeper.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us again.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Joy. And thanks for listening.
Yeah. And we'll be talking with you, listening in a couple of weeks from now.